And then everyone just hit got it, so no one gets kicked out. Oh, goodness. All right. 1 second. I'm going to send a message in the group me, and then we'll be ready. All righty. I think we're all set to go. You guys all ready?
Good to go.
Yeah, I'm good.
All righty. Well, welcome back. We're glad to have everyone back on the SMC show. This is episode number 9 of the year. Today, we got a lot on the docket. We have NFL trade deadline has closed up this past week. So we're going to go over some of the trades, grade them. We're going to recap a Thursday night football game last night in which the Eagles beat the Texans. We're going to go over our midseason college football roundup. So this is just, we're going to pick the championship games for the Power 5 divisions and pick some Heisman favorites. And then we're going to recap our World Series takes, and then we'll give some hot takes. Today, I'm joined with Matthew as well as Dallas. We're glad to have you guys back. I think we're all ready to go. You guys ready to go?
Ready to go.
All right. So we have a Thursday night football game to jump back into. Last night, the now 7-0 Eagles won 29-17. Jalen Hurts put up 21 for 27 for 243 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Davis Mills also put up 2 touchdowns, but had 2 interceptions on 13 of 22 for passing and 147 yards. Overall takeaways from this game, if there are many, I didn't have a lot, but I mean, you guys might have some.
Meh is just, that's my takeaway. Jalen Hurts did his thing. I thought the Eagles would be a little more dominant. I don't think they even covered the spread, which I think it was 12 and a half. So just under it. Texans, I'll tell you this, that Dameon Pierce, man, he is a bulldozer in that. If you saw the 5 stiff arms or whatever going down the sideline, but Houston's an automatic rebuild. I think they're 1-6-1 to our tie with our wonderful, or no, wait a minute. Tied with our wonderful Colts, right? Or is it some? I thought they were 1-6.
I'm looking right now.
1-5-1.
No, they're tied with Jacksonville. Yeah, they're 1-6-1 right now. Jacksonville's 2-6. Colts are 3-4.
They have a chance. Oh my goodness, no. Okay, it's just a garbage fire in this division. But the Eagles did not play as well as I saw them on Sunday against the Steelers, which, by the way, my boy AJ Brown came through for me 1 week after trading for him in fantasy football. But Jalen Hurts is really coming into his own, especially with all the weapons. It's the plus when you don't have to pay your quarterback anything. And Texans, yeah, they're just kind of they fought hard harder than I thought they would. So but once again, it's like you can't really take away anything from the Texans because, well, they really don't have anything to play for other than a top 3 seed in the NFL draft. So yeah, that's my takeaways.
Dallas,
Yeah.
would you like to go?
I just have one. Just there's no takeaways from this game. Let's be real. Thursday night football has been so bad this year. Coming off a short week, I didn't figure Philly would look that good coming off a short week because nobody has. Even really good teams that have played on Thursday night really haven't looked that good on Thursday night. So I wasn't expecting much from them. I figured they'd come out with a W. Texans, what they have to look forward to is got to keep Dameon Pierce, got to keep him rolling. Hopefully he stays healthy, man. They had no receivers last night. I'm surprised they even had 2 touchdowns last night. Rookie tight end in his first career game caught one, and Chris Moore as well. But the Texans are up and younging on the defensive side. The defense looked all right. I mean, they were flying around the field a few plays. Jalen Petrie, Derek Stingley. They're going to suck for a few more years, get a few more draft picks, and we'll see if they can compete in the division in a few years because the division looks like not very good right now. So no takeaways really. Philadelphia, they could be 11-0 in 4 weeks time. So we'll jump back into Philadelphia later. Me and Alex know we're Philly to the Super Bowl all day.
Yeah, Philly's going to be 17-0, guys. They're going to go undefeated this season. They're going to break the Dolphins.
Starting to feel it. I'm really starting to feel. I'm kind of jumping on your train a little bit at this point.
They in
Cowboys,
pass schedule,
but
they're ranked 27th. Their strength of schedule is 27th in their pass schedule. And looking forward to their future schedule, they're ranked 32nd. Playing the likes of like the Colts, like they just play sad games. No offense to the Eagles, but when you play in the NFC East, you get a lot of layup games. I think the 2 games still to look forward to on their schedule for me. I'm still really circling the Cowboys. I'm really interested to see what the Cowboys have left to do. I mean, it's just tough. I think the Cowboys don't match up very well right now with this Eagles team and how they play in fronts. But I'll rattle it off. So they play the Commanders next week, the Colts the week after, the Packers, the Titans, the Giants, the Bears, the Cowboys, the Saints, and then the Giants again. So I think we haven't seen them play in New York yet. So I'd be interested to see where New York is at in that position. But I think they're the best team in the league. I mean, we can argue between the Bills and them, but I still think they're just dominant, and they probably have one of the best defenses ever constructed in Howie Roseman era. So
are they on the road in Tennessee or at home? Because
they're not good. I don't see Tennessee giving them. No offense to Tennessee, they're at home against Tennessee. They're
okay. Then yeah, no.
I think they're gonna mollywop Tennessee, and
the Eagles will need Jordan Davis back for that game because as we saw last night. I'm not saying that the Eagles are going to lose because they're going to beat the Titans, but Derrick Henry is going to put 150 plus on them easily. Jordan Davis is not there, but that doesn't translate into a Titans win.
They're not going to put 150 plus on them, Dallas. I promise you. If they
Dameon Pierce had 139 last night.
They come out an odd front against him, and they actually get Robert Quinn fully functional and playing as a part of this team. They're not gonna have a chance. They have 2 sets of linebackers who are they have 4 all-pro worthy linebackers. I mean, let's be for real. And their defensive line, insane, amazing. They can rotate all these guys around. They're just good. Tennessee can't throw the football, so they're just gonna run. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see 8-man boxes on every single play where there's 8 guys just ready to tackle whoever comes across the line of scrimmage. So I mean, I'm not discounting Derrick Henry or Dameon Pierce, but, I think the Eagles knew it was a throwaway game last night and didn't really play to their full potential. So is that all we have about that game? I didn't really think there were a lot of takeaways. It was kind of a barn burner.
That was a lot more takeaways than I thought there would be.
All right, well, we're on to the next section of the NFL deadline closed on this past Wednesday. We have actually taken we're taking a big chunk here. We are going to grade all of the trades from the from before the dead, just all the trades. So we had 20 overall trades. I did not include all 20 because there were a lot of filler trades that I, just dumped because I thought they were trash. I took probably I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 trades that I thought were very, very crucial trades, and we're going to grade them. As you know, we're working on the grading scale we've all worked on before. A+ is the best. F is that you definitely did not do anything right. The first trade, and probably there's a few trades we've actually seen pan out. The first trade is probably the one that's most panned out for organization. Christian McCaffrey was traded to San Francisco 49ers for a 2023 second round pick, 2023 third round pick, 2023 fourth round pick, and a 2024 fourth round pick to the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to open this up. This is a plus trade for me. After watching him play against the Los Angeles Rams, I thought that it was a great trade on their half. You guys are definitely up to whatever grade you want to give it. But for me, it's an A. I think it adds a level of depth to the San Francisco 49ers that honestly concerns me. If I'm a defense, because now you have to guard Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel and George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk. So for me, I think it's a great piece. I'm excited to see what he does next week. Had 3 touchdowns in his opening game for them. So fantastic game from him. So A+ on my half.
I have I'm still wary about it because of his injury history. Still wary about that, but I definitely give him an A. Panthers, I actually give on the other end a B+, because I think they could have gotten especially 49ers got away with not giving up a first round pick. I know not a lot of running backs nowadays, especially now, don't get first round picks in return, but I really think for Christian McCaffrey, you could have gotten that. But yeah, that's my take.
That's fair. I'd give it an A. I gave it in the A range. I just thought an A+. I do only have 2 A+ trades in this.
This ain't Von Miller to the Rams. I'm just saying this ain't Von Miller to the Rams, at least not yet.
Dallas, right, what do you have?
Yeah. So all these trades I gave each team a grade for the Niners. I was lenient of giving them the A+, so I went A-. I think you go all in on this season. Jimmy G back at QB. You get McCaffrey, your dynamic weapons. You get the defense healthy. It's Super Bowl or nothing, I think, for the Niners at this stage with CMC. But as Matthew said, a little bit on the injury history of CMC. That's why I didn't give it a full A+. And I go back on Carolina's side, and this might surprise some people, but I didn't think they'd get a first-round pick out of McCaffrey. If you're trading away a running back this stage, you probably won't get a first-round pick. I think Carolina gets an A+. I think you get a boatload of picks, which can turn into a lot of players. And you saw what 1 week of healthy Dante Foreman looked like. And I really like him and Hubbard 1-2. Once Hubbard gets back healthy, Hubbard was very good at Oklahoma State in college. So I think the running back position they have there can be set for a while, and now you can get those picks and get some more skill positions on the offense and the defensive side of the ball. So I really like the trade overall for both teams.
I didn't think to go both ways, but if we're going both ways, in my opinion, I give it an A-. I think they got a lot of value back for Christian McCaffrey, but I do still have concerns about what they do with the picks. They're not a very, unfortunately, draft savvy team currently. They haven't hit on a bunch of guys, but when they do hit on a good guy, it's very good. So I hope they use those picks very wisely.
That's the one thing I was thinking, because of the only reason I thought the first round pick is because 49ers, if they go to the Super Bowl, that'll be a late first round pick. That's the only.
I think they knew the going rate, and I think Carolina agreed on the going rate, and I just don't think if it was a first round pick, that would have been the only thing in the trade. I don't think they would
Yeah.
have packaged up as much as they would have sent, because a first round is there's a big drop off between the gaps of first and second round. And I think, Carolina looked at it and said there's more of a surplus than going and getting and asking for a first rounder. And I want it to be mentioned that nobody went for a first rounder in the entire trade, in the entire deadline. Nobody went for a first.
Rams
So-
would have if we still had our first round picks. The Rams, man.
Yep.
Ugh.
All right, on to another team. Actually, another running back trade. James Robinson did make his debut this weekend for the New York Jets. He was traded there for a conditional 6th-round pick. Conditional means that the value of the pick can go up or down dependent on if the team re-signs him. Blah blah blah. There's a lot of very big stipulations in it. For me, for New York, I gave New York a B+. It's a good trade. I didn't know if they truly needed him much longer after this year. So I think it's honestly just a rental trade. And for a rental trade and a 6th-round pick, I give it a B+. It's not really much for me. Doesn't really move the needle for Jacksonville in all reality. I mean, it can move up to a 5th-round pick if they do re-sign him or he plays a certain amount of snaps. I don't know exactly. I didn't really read into all the contract stipulations, but it's like a C for Jacksonville. They got another pick that they'll probably just flip in another trade. So, I mean, B and a C feel very, very lenient to me on this one.
I think or Dallas, if probably your turn first, I'll go second.
All right, yeah. For Jacksonville's side, I really think this is pointless in my opinion. James Robinson is a rental. I don't see the reason you do it. Jermichael Hasty is not better than James Robinson as a second running back. ETN hurt Liz Frank injury or foot injury last year. The re-injury rate on that is high. Don't get me wrong, I love Travis Etienne. Love him. I think he's an amazing player. But if somehow he goes down, Jermichael Hasty is your RB1, I'd be wanting James Robinson in that slot. So I don't see why they do it. And for the Jets, obviously they were down running back Breece Hall injury, so the Jets get a B for getting James Robinson for basically nothing.
What'd you give Jacksonville, Dallas?
I give Jacksonville a D.
D. I feel it.
I think it's just dumb. I don't understand why. We'll have more Jacksonville later that I think's better, but
yes,
Jacksonville
gets a very high grade later on.
Yeah. So on the Jets side, the thing is, it's after Hall went down, it's he was your whole entire offense. You're not going to replace him. Robinson's close, but he isn't that guy, and we saw it with the New England hindsight being 2020, saw it with the Patriots this last weekend. So I would give it a C for the Jets. It's not even because of them. It's who else is available, to be honest. It's but like I said, I like that Miami trade with that running back, but we'll get to that. But I would give the Jags an F actually. Because like Dallas said is TEJ, so I don't screw up his last name. ETN Jr. is he was injured the whole entire season last year. And like you said, you have a nobody the second now as RB2. So, and plus James Robinson kind of gave you, even with his small size, he gave you a lot more power than obviously ETN Jr. does. ETN Jr., I know he played with Trevor Lawrence, all that kind of stuff, but you have I was at that Jags Colts game, and it was ETN all the time, but I don't believe he went up the middle once, if I remember correctly. But that is the Colts defense, but still, you only can do so much. And it's I wouldn't have given up Robinson because you can still, Jacksonville is probably one of the top cap spaces in the league next year. Is I would love to have James Robinson as a number 2.
I mean, I get keeping him as a number 2, but I also do think I do, as the late great Austin Anderson, who's not been on here in a while, says you can pick a running back in the 5th round and just have a good offensive line that moves the blocks. I'm not like, let's pay this guy $1 million. Like, let's give him the super max. I just think, a trade like this, you could probably go scrap a guy out of the 6th round, teach him how to run in the off season, and he might just be just as good as James Robinson. So, in my opinion,
I agree with that. I agree that you can just get another back, but just for the rest of this year, I think it's just dumb. I think you just keep him and then he's free agent the rest of the year. I just think that's why. I mean, obviously you can get a guy to replace, but I just think for the rest of this year, if something happens to Etienne, they are in a world of trouble at the running back spot.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, it is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are 2-6. I don't know if we're still, I know we're all still in the we can all compete stage of the NFL, but
especially
things are about to come crashing down to reality. So
I still wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville came back and won the division. I don't think that would shock anybody.
I think if Jacksonville's smart and Trent Baalke's smart, they just continue on the path they're on, suck it up, and I think they'll be a dynasty by next year. All right, the next trade we have is Robert Quinn was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, so he did make his debut last night. We did not see very much of him. He did not get many snaps. They just got him this week. They haven't really fully brought him in. I'm not going to start this one. Who would like to open it up?
I guess I will. On the Eagles side, I think it's an A. You got another weapon on defense. You got plenty of weapons on offense, which, and by the way, I don't think we'll bring this up because I want to add this in. There's another destination for Odell Beckham Jr. I'm just saying it wouldn't be shocking to see him go to the Philadelphia Eagles after being on the New York Giants. Kind of sounds like him. But you have so many weapons, including Jalen Hurts as a runner and a thrower. So it's kind of like Ohtani in baseball when you have pitching and hitting. So it's just a really good trade for the Eagles. The Bears, I kind of put it at a C-. I know that's kind of surprising, but the Bears, Packers struggling right now. Pretty much anybody who's in second place or lower in any division in the NFC is struggling pretty bad. So I'm just saying you have a chance, especially with another trade coming up that Bears were involved in, giving up Robert Quinn, who is a pretty darn good edge rusher and defensive tackle, depending on what you want to put him at. It's just, and the Bears pride themselves on defense. I don't think they're deep at that position. I'm not sure how much he costs. That might be a big deal on that, but
it was a 2023 4th round pick.
Yeah. So, well, I meant Quinn's salary wise, but like how many?
They're eating it. It's $9.5 million.
Oh, okay, then yeah, that's nothing compared to what like JJ Watt and all them get. But yeah, I don't like the move from the Bears. They're kind of especially. It changed after the next trade we'll talk about from them for me.
Dallas, would you like me to go or are you up to go?
I can go. Yeah, I agree. I give the Bears a C and I give the Eagles an A. I just think for the Eagles, this just gives you another dynamic edge rusher that you can swap in and out to be fresh on the defensive line. To be fresh on the defensive line and have those guys rushing the quarterback is huge in the league. I mean, you can get pressure almost every play because a guy's fresh and other things. Most teams just have, they're set for, and if they get tired, they're not going to rush that well and everything. And for the Bears, they're just trading away all kinds of defensive pieces. So we'll get to obviously the other trade in a second here, but I don't know. We can see what the 4th round pick turns into. The Bears are trying.
I don't want to say it's conditional.
Yeah. So
it is conditional.
We'll see if they keep it, who they draft there. We can see what they turn into, or if they trade it. but I don't know. I just don't see you're getting worse on defense this year. And that used to be the Bears' focal point of the Bears was grinding defense, unbelievable defense to keep you in the game. And now your defense can't stop nobody. You're relying on Justin Fields to put up 30 points a game. It's a weird turnaround for me. So I don't know. I don't know where they're trying to head here.
So I'm actually on the contrary of both of you. I like what I give Philly a B plus. I think it's a good trade. Once again, it's another use of rental player. I mean, he's not going to be. The Eagles have a decision next year if they want to keep him in the building or they want to let him walk. They're going to have to pay him a pretty hefty contract. So do what you want to do with it. I mean, it's really not crazy. I think Chicago actually gets an A minus. They have built up and acquired a fair amount of draft capital for next year. I want to say they have over 9 picks right now next season. And $135 million in cap room. So from a long view, I'm looking at this and giving it an A minus for the Bears. If you're looking at it in the short view, I think it is a C. But I do think the Bears have realized that they're not where they are, truthfully. And I'm really happy with giving them an A minus. I think they're accruing quite a bit, and I think they're going to be a really good team. I think this year is just tough. I think Minnesota is definitely substantially better. And I think, there's possibly 2 NFC East teams and an NFC West team that are fighting for that wild card. So, if you don't feel like you're there, I don't think it's a time to push. I'll probably say the same thing on their other trade. But just accruing as much draft capital as you can and using it is going to be good for them. I'm happy about it in all reality. So. Feel good on that trade, or any closing thoughts? All right. So we did have another trade. We have another one. This one was before the deadline. I'll let you guys know when we get technically closer to the deadline/deadline day. Kadarius Toney was traded to the Kansas City Chiefs for a conditional 3rd round pick and a conditional 6th round pick in 2023. Dallas, I know this is one of your favorite trades, so I'm gonna let you open this one up.
So I like this trade. I'm giving both teams a B just because I want to see how it plays out. But Kadarius Toney with Andy Reid, yes, please. I've seen what Kadarius Toney did last year when he was healthy for the Giants. That man can move, make people miss in open space, and there's nobody better than getting people in open space than Andy Reid in that offense. I mean, he slide him in. I think he's better than Mecole Hardman straight away. He's better than your draft pick, Sky Moore. I think he can slide in with Juju, and then you can rotate MVS, Hardman, and Sky Moore a little bit on the outside. I really like it for the Chiefs. And for the Giants side, I mean, obviously they weren't happy or something happened with them and Toney. So getting a conditional 3rd and a conditional 6 out of him is not that bad. So I give it a B for them. They drafted Wan'Dale Robinson to kind of replace Toney in that type of area of the field. So I think Wan'Dale has looked okay so far, and we can see what he does more with Daniel Jones in the passing game this year. So, I think it's B for both teams.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. I actually think even a little bit more so. I give it an A for the Chiefs, and even close to an A plus, because Toney, there have been many sports reporters saying he could be the next Tyreek Hill if in the right offense. I know that's very, very big, high praise from comparing anybody to Tyreek Hill, but you see what he's doing in Miami without Patrick Mahomes. Just imagine with Toney with Patrick Mahomes. So he goes to a totally different offense. You're not you go New York Giants centric running game. Can't really name a running back on the Kansas City Chiefs, so you're going to get the ball. So even though it's like you can name the guys, but they rarely get the ball. So an A plus for me on the Chiefs side. Giants, B plus. I think I think it works for both team systems. Especially when you count in weather, all that kind of stuff. The Giants are still going for it, but they're also still looking towards the future, because I don't think they're complete. Even with Daniel Jones having a pretty good season, I don't think they're quite sold on him, especially when this coming off season is the contract. So you got a lot of good quarterbacks next draft.
I feel the opposite. I gave the Chiefs a B plus. I think what the Chiefs have right now is pretty good. They're still a really good team. I understand the condition and the improvement with bringing Kadarius Toney in. My worries are contract related. In a few seasons, you're going to have to pay him, and he's not been the easiest to deal with on the personnel side so far, as the Giants will attest to. So I like it. I'm interested to see where he is. I feel like B could be moved up to an A once I see him play. I just haven't seen him play as frequently as I would probably be looking for if I'm making this kind of trade. On the Giants half, I'm giving it an A minus. They make a good trade. They're building a pretty big draft capital to do big things. I'd actually be excited to see Daniel Jones get a 5th-year option. I know they declined it. I would kind of like to see him get an extension with how he's playing currently. And I do think this team is just a few more Brian Dable pieces away from being really good. So, getting some draft picks, building up that draft capital, which has been pretty big over the past few years, and they're making headway towards where I think they need to be. I'm excited. So I give it a B and an A minus, just at the fact that I haven't seen Kadarius Toney play as frequently as I would like to do.
I think as the Giants, they're kind of seeing. I know their record's pretty good, but they see the Eagles, they see the Cowboys, and they're not on that level. I'm sorry, if their record may say contrary, but you have the experience of that Dallas Cowboys defense along with the Eagles defense, and even though an unproven quarterback in the playoffs, you got a lot of weapons on offense, so that have some playoff experience, especially with AJ Brown. So you kind of got to see like, well, I'm going to get the, 7th seed? Would it be the last wild card team in? So it's kind of like, you can still build towards the future. I wouldn't go all in for the 7th seed in the NFC, even in the NFC, especially not in the AFC, but that's another.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement, but I think there's still an outlook that there's still a lot of positive things. I think Dallas may still be a little unproven. I'm really interested to see what's going on with Zeke and Tony Pollard, because those two are probably fighting for one of the most crucial parts of the offense. And Dak's still a little unproven in my mind off the injury. So, I think the Giants are in a good spot, and they're just letting it play out. They're not really pushing for one thing, and they're not really stepping away from the other and just tanking. I think they're in a good spot in general. So are we all good on that? Ready to move on to another Chicago trade?
Right ahead.
All righty. So Roquan Smith was traded to the Baltimore Ravens for a 2023 second-round pick and a 2023 fifth-round pick. Would anyone like to lead this one off, or am I leading it off?
You can go ahead.
It falls in the same Philly pick for me. I do think, though, Chicago gets an A+ in return on this one. They do get a lower end second round pick with just the fact that the Ravens are so good and they're poised to be in a playoff position, even though the AFC North is an absolute head spin right now. Baltimore, you get to rent a pass rusher for a season. You're not going to pay him because you have the choice next year of franchising Lamar Jackson or franchising Roquan Smith. You don't have that much cap to either extend both of them at the same time, because Lamar is still pursuing an option of fully guaranteed money. So you're going to pay a pretty penny for him. And Roquan Smith, I think, is just I think he's good. I know he leads the league in tackles currently, or third in tackles. Rent a pass rusher, in my opinion. So I give Baltimore a B. I'm really not a fan that they did give up a second and a fifth. I understand he is 24. That is the problem compared to Robert Quinn, who's quite substantially older. So I give a B to Baltimore, and I give an A+ to Chicago, because I think Chicago is building that draft capital to a place where they might be scary in a year or two.
Yeah, so I got B+ for both teams. Alex knows I hate the Ravens. So this is it's a good 1-year rental for the Ravens on defense to get better on defense. They've been struggling tackling. They had that problem last year as well. Now you got Roquan and Patrick Queen up in there at linebacker, two very good sideline linebackers, can tackle, everything like that. For the Bears, the reason why I'm not leaning into the A category is because the reason they have that cap to sign Roquan Smith in the offseason, I'm not sure why you'd want to get rid of him and not re-sign him, because that second-round pick, it's not going to be better than Roquan Smith. I can almost guarantee that. Roquan Smith is one of the best linebackers in the league. You're going to have to get super lucky to find him. So I think that's the reason why I'm not putting the A. I'm not going to put it onto it right now, but I want to see what the pick turns into, and we'll see from there. But for Chicago's sake, I'd rather have Roquan Smith than a second-round pick.
I think it's definitely an A for the Ravens, because Harbaugh loves his defensive weapons. And when you come to Lamar Jackson, he's got to realize he ain't getting Deshaun Watson money. Give me a break. You're not getting that cash. I think they actually should sign Roquan Smith before Lamar Jackson, just to show him that, well, hey, we're focused on our defense more, and that's always been the Ravens thing. Heck, they won with Joe Flacco, for Pete's sake. But on the Chicago side, I would definitely give them a high B, maybe low A, but I would stick with high B, B+. Just because, especially since you already traded away one defensive of Quinn, you might as well go all the way. So, and especially if you got the second round pick, they need wide receivers, and that's probably right around where, and offensive linemen. So that's right, according to McVay's, or was it? Yeah, what is McShay? I was thinking McVay's my coach, but McShay's draft says that a lot of offensive linemen and wide receivers available in round 2. So I think that's what they're looking at.
What did you give Baltimore? I just want to make sure I'm right.
A.
And then Chicago got a B.
Yeah, B+. I would put it.
All right. I feel that's fair. Actually, pivoting off to another NFC. This is an inner NFC North. Huge trade. TJ Hawkinson was sent to the Minnesota Vikings with a 2023 4th-round pick and a 2023 conditional 4th-round pick for a 2023 2nd-round pick and a 2024 4th-round pick going to Detroit. Who would like to open this one up? Because I got a lot to say about this one.
I'll do this one because Minnesota just lost, I think, was it Irvin Smith? I think that's his last.
Irv Smith Jr. for 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah, so, and that's still only 2 months, so he could be back for the playoffs. So then you have 2 weapons, and then you have Thielen on the outside, you have Jefferson on the outside, you have Dalvin Cook in your backfield. Your offensive lineman's pretty good. You're starting to look at arguably the most dangerous offense to the Eagles in the NFC. Then you have, I swear, because I think they did another trade Vikings and Lions in the last few years.
They traded for a draft pick to last season.
It's everything to beat the Packers. I really think they just like say, okay, we're going after the Packers. Like, you want in? Yeah, sure, go right ahead. Even the Packers aren't a threat. They still have Aaron Rodgers. I still got to put them on that, and they have Aaron Jones. So, and you have the problem with Kirk Cousins as the primetime quarterback, man. So, I don't know how many primetimes games they'll be coming up, but I'm guessing they probably have one or two. But yeah, it's Hawkinson's no joke. He's a tight end. He's a TE1, so he can get on a roll in the specific type of offense. And to be honest, after St. Brown, he was the second best weapon on that Detroit offense. So yes, you can put in Reynolds a little bit and Swift, but I still think TJ Hawkinson was your ace in the hole. But Detroit's 1-6-7, whatever. So
1-6.
Detroit's Detroit. So Vikings got a steal, in my opinion. And so I give them an A+. Lions, I think just to stick it to the Packers, I just give them a C+. So, because Bears obviously weren't going for it, so they probably figured, screw it.
Dallas, where you feel on this one?
Yeah. So for the Lions, I also agree with the C+. We'll see. I like what they got in the pick, the second round, fourth round pick. They drafted tight end James Mitchell. We're going to see a little bit of him this week. Maybe a little Brock Wright if he returns from the concussion. We'll see how the tight ends fare in that offense and see what they do. For Minnesota, this is an A+. This is an A+ for Minnesota to get this TJ Hawkinson. This is a guy that can catch. This is a guy that can block. I mean, having him in the run game with the offensive line for Dalvin, I think Dalvin's just going to have a better second half of the year with TJ in there. I think that spreads out the offense more. And like Matthew said, in the playoffs, Irv Smith comes back in. You can throw two tight end sets in there with Jefferson and Thielen and Dalvin, and really don't know. You can run the stretch. You can play action bootleg off of that. I really like this trade for Minnesota.
I'm in agreement. I'm not giving an A+, surprisingly. I like what Minnesota did. I believe TJ Hawkinson is eligible for a payday next season, and I believe that might be the end of his rookie contract, if I'm correct. So you do have to pay him at the end of next season. Where the Vikings are in cap space, they're about in the middle. They're in a fair cap space, but there may be other guys who do need to be re-signed at the same point. I do give Detroit a B though. Detroit has had a lot of success on hitting on draft picks. So for them getting another second rounder and a fourth rounder, I mean, this is probably going to be a mid to late second rounder and probably a mid to late fourth rounder. I mean, you now have two picks in each of those categories. And I mean, second to fourth round, that's kind of been the Detroit's to money time to grab guys. I mean, I believe Hawkinson was in the second or the third round, if I'm right. He was a mid rounder. So just
and
good for
Amon-Ra
them.
was in the fourth, I believe, or the fifth.
Yeah. So I mean, I think you just gave them a lot. So I give an A- to Minnesota and a B+ to Detroit. It's a pretty good trade. The NFC North made a lot of moves here in this, and I'm now looking at it. I mean, we've seen 1, 2, 3, 4 trades, and we're not even on trade number 5 yet. So, are we all good on that one? We feeling positive?
Yep.
All righty. So then we do have another NFC North. The Chicago Bears did make a trade using a 2023 second round pick to acquire pass catcher Chase Claypool from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I almost called them the Pirates. I'm so sorry about that.
They're just as bad this year, so.
Well, Pirates are better, but so Claypool was acquired for a second round pick. I think for me, I give Chicago a B minus. I am not very Chase Claypool centric, as Dallas knows. I'm not a big Chase Claypool fan. For Pittsburgh, I give them an A because Pittsburgh is now building, or A minus probably. Pittsburgh has now built a pretty big draft capital for next year. Of course, they're not very good in the AFC North, so you may as well just trade your guys, get them out. I mean, you're not gonna compete right now with the two-headed beast in Cleveland with Hunt and Chubb. You're not going to compete with Joe Burrow and all the weapons they have, and you're not going to compete with Lamar Jackson with Kenny Pickett. So, tank, rebuild, do whatever you need to do, clean house. I honestly thought Pittsburgh should have gave away more probably in this trade window, but that is what it is, and they made a good trade. So Bears wise, they got a pass catcher. He has 1.5 years left on his contract, so that's why I'm not giving it a C. They don't have to pay him immediately, but they have to probably decide if he's a true long-term option in the team. So I'm happy about it, but I think giving up their second round pick, so it was their second round pick, it was not Baltimore's. I think it's an early second round pick is where I would see them. I don't see them making the playoff run that people think they may be, with the fact that they've now cleaned out their defense, cleaned house. Their offense still has stagnant moments. So, they're okay. But I'm not all in on the trade yet.
I think Chicago, you had to make a move. You had to make this move. Someone with wide receiver. And of course, the Steelers are the ones that really were open for business from the wide receiver standpoint. So I love Chase Claypool. He's a stud, and he fits that Chicago mold of I will literally bury you in the snow to get that ball. Okay, and he has that kind of the Bears style, and Bears have a long way to go. But I also give an extra grade, an A, to Justin Fields. Just for Justin Fields, that's an A. It's like you finally have another weapon. But Steelers, especially having an early second rounder, I would give that an A minus, because Steelers once again, like you said, I'm not. This happened after Chase went down injury, right? I'm pretty sure. But
no, this was before. This is actually after Chase goes down with an injury. So
yeah, so and it depends on how long Mike Tomlin even stays. I know, like, everybody's saying, oh, well, Mike Tomlin's going to stay there forever. And they've had, Cowher was there before forever. So the Steelers, I'm very surprised they made this move, because Steelers are the older style franchise. They like their players. They don't usually care about because they're such a big time brand. I would put them behind probably Patriots and Rams, to be honest. Or sorry, I should say Patriots, Rams, and Cowboys, I should say, as the known brands, especially outside the United States. So yeah, I would just I know they have to build for the future. They have plenty of holes in Pittsburgh, so, and wide receivers, they have Pickens. So yeah.
What did you give Chicago? Did you give Chicago an A?
Give him an A minus. I gave an A plus for just Fields, but so for the Chicago Bears franchise, Justin Fields, like, thank you God, I finally get a wide receiver. But yeah.
All righty, Dallas. What do you have to say from the AFC North resident?
I think the Bears get a B plus here, trading a second for Claypool. They needed a weapon. Chase Claypool is a good receiver. He got shuffled out there in Pittsburgh to down their third option. Kenny loves Pickens. Pickens is very good. Deontay's obviously there. I give the same for Pittsburgh, B plus. Second round pick is nice. You lose Claypool though, so your third receiver sliding in now is Miles Boykin, which he's had
good old Miles Boykin
in his career where he's played good, but he's definitely not a starting receiver caliber. I know they got Calvin Austin, who they drafted in last year's NFL draft, who's a burner. He's on the IR the whole year, so I guess they want him to be the third receiver next year when they come back. So they use that second round pick on what should be O lineman, I would think. You think you need to beef up the O line. The defense is there. Get Kenny another year. You have a few weapons. Najee's got to play better. You help him play better with a better offensive line. So yeah, B+ on both sides here.
I feel that is pretty fair for that trade. I think like Bears fans were jumping out of the room calling it an A+, but for me it was not really like an A+. Bears are happy with like mediocrity now. And then we did have another trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers. William Jackson was sent there with a 2025 conditional a 7th round conditional pick. For a 2025 6th round conditional pick to Washington. I'm going to open up with this one. I give Pittsburgh an A-. They filled a whole corner. You absolutely watch them get torched on Sunday against the Eagles. They got killed. A.J. Brown was just better. William Jackson was probably just going to be dropped if they didn't trade for him. So I think it's a good on Washington's half. I give them a D-. Good corner. Should have retained him. I don't really get it, but whatever. So D-. This trade's very quick, very simple for me. I don't think there's a lot to talk about.
For me, this is obviously I'll lean towards B+ just because William Jackson's you got to pay a hefty penny of the contract, and for the Commanders, this is a F. Getting rid of William Jackson, who's a good corner, used to play on my Cincinnati Bengals. I know how good he is. He is falling off a little bit. I can still see him playing top 20 corner. He's top 20 corner in the league. I can still see him playing to that level, especially in Pittsburgh now. He's got help over the top with Minka. He's going to be a really good corner for Pittsburgh. So an F for Washington. I don't see why you'd want to drop somebody like that.
Dallas gives them an F-. F-.
Pretty much any trade at this point until you get rid of that owner is an F coming out of Washington. I really think they're in chaos. It didn't even come down to the player. They're just in complete and utter chaos until they get a new owner in. It's like after the two McLaurin on at wide receiver, and they have a few offensive. They have Antonio Gibson, obviously. But
free Antonio Gibson, free that man. He deserves to start over Brad.
Free Antonio
Come to my Rams for the
free
love
Antonio
of God.
Gibson.
But
free him.
And yeah, I'm surprised they didn't get rid of him. But they probably were looking for a 2nd round pick and they weren't going to get that. So but yeah, F for the Commanders and F for being a Commanders for a team name anyway. That's just another thing. But the Steelers, A-. It give I believe, how many years is he under contract for?
2.
2. So
2.5.
yeah, so
2.5.
Yeah, so you have two more full years with them. You'll have TJ Watt back on defense. That defense runs around TJ Watt, so and you have Minka Fitzpatrick, like Dallas said. So you have your defense is still going to be good. The weather really helps you in Pittsburgh, especially late in the year. I'm very surprised that Pittsburgh didn't go. I know it's kind of weird. You would think a 2-6 wouldn't go after like a running back or a wide receiver. I'm surprised they didn't go after a running back. That's the one flaw I see in the Pittsburgh. One of the big flaws I see in the Pittsburgh Steelers, because that's what they're known for. They've had Jerome Bettis and all that kind of stuff. So Pittsburgh is trying the best they can. But yeah, it's just they're in a tough place too. And you got to see if Tomlin stays there. So about I would still get an A- because you really got him for nothing.
I feel like that's fair. I think we all gave him an F. I gave him a D- because, they nevertheless did get a pick, but it is like Oklahoma City Thunder vibes, like 2025. We're like 4 years out from that, but just kidding. We're like 3. But then now we have the biggest trade, the one I think everybody's ready to talk about. Bradley Chubb in a 2025 5th round pick was sent to the Miami Dolphins For Chase Edmonds, a 2023 first round pick and a 2024 first round pick. That 2023 first round pick is courtesy of the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to leave this one off. On the contrary of what everybody has said, I give this trade a B+. I believe for Miami, they just did sign him to a contract extension. So they are paying him now $119 million over a 5-year span. So, he eats up quite a bit of that cap, a cap that is now filled with possibly a Jalen Waddle contract extension coming very soon, as well as some other key pieces that'll need to be extended. So, I think it hurts the cap a bit, but, it's a good pick, allows their defense to really expand, get out of those weird zone coverage looks they've been showing with like no linebackers or like tons of linebackers. Give someone to put next to Jalen Phillips. So it's a B for me. I know most people have it as an A+. For Denver, I actually gave it a B-. I think I hate Chase Edmonds in this trade with a burning passion, and I'll get around to why. I think it's a stupid trade, something that the Broncos are not at a disadvantage of having right now as running backs. They have probably just as good a running back in Melvin Gordon, and then they have another one that'll be contracted next year, in Javonte Williams. So now you've added a third running back to a team that is in desperate need for some more help at pass catching, maybe like a really solid wide receiver or something. But I think they should just got another pick. I like the 2023 first round pick. So maybe I'm going to move mine up to a B. It's just not my favorite trade from both sides. I get it. It helps both teams, but for me, it just didn't move the needle.
I think I'm going to go against you. I got an A for both sides. Now, I know you hate Chase Edmonds, but Melvin Gordon. Oh, well, you know what? Let's start with Bradley Chubb first. Bradley Chubb is one of the best non-talked about, seems like, edge rushers in the game. For some reason, we just never talk about him. But Miami sees this point where, yes, they're not paying Waddle anything. They're not paying Tua anything. They're not paying pretty much anybody on that offensive side except Tyreek Hill. And the defensive side, I don't know all much about it, but their defense is solid, especially in their conference. They see the Patriots going down. Buffalo, you can't catch them anyway. But they can. I could see them trying to get probably a 5th round wild card this year. I could see them going on a roll like that because Jets, all of a sudden with that Bryce Hall injury, I think they're done, to be honest. Patriots, yes, they've had a couple good weeks, but still you have that Zap. Everyone's saying they want Zappy in at quarterback, so you have all that issue and a defensive coordinator running the offense. Don't even get me started again on that. I think that is, and plus they extended them, which any team in Miami, any sport in Miami, they don't do very much of extending players, if anybody's looked at that. And so it's nice to, especially Dolphins need to make a splash, pun intended. But I would give it an A. And then I actually like Chase Edmonds because first, Melvin Gordon still has that fumble problem. Yes, he can do power and everything, but the Denver Broncos, the reason why they're struggling is not their defense, it's their offense, obviously. Yes, they don't have Williams. I don't know how long he's going to be out, probably the rest of the season. So
season ending. Yeah,
season-ending injury, and then it goes probably into training too. You don't know with running back. So Chase Edmonds gives you that opportunity to get that screen pass, to get that a little more wide open speed, especially in Denver, which I don't think Denver's had in a very long time. I think some of it has to do with the air, but some of it you just got to get. They're just trying to mix it up. It's at this point they're trying to get a little bit, maybe a little pressure off Melvin Gordon, because right now it's pretty much Russell Wilson Russell Wilson centric, and he's not doing very well. So they gotta run the ball to be effective, and you got to see on these defenses in the AFC West. Raiders not that great. Chargers were great at the beginning. Now they're You got Chiefs that are pretty good, but you're not going to catch the Chiefs anyway. So, but it gives them an identity. It gives them a chance to do more things. And I know that's a very low bar, but I still give them an A for trying for that. And the draft picks you get back. So,
Dallas, where you at with this one?
Yeah. So I'll also start with the Miami Dolphins, and I think I give the Dolphins an A. I love extending Bradley Chubb. I think that's a key component in this trade. I feel like they don't make the trade unless they can figure out how to convert the cap when they have to extend Waddle and Tua, because they will keep Tua, Tyreek, and Waddle for a while, I think. So I don't think they'd extend Bradley Chubb if they can't make the money work. So I'm assuming they will make the money work. So I think it is A for the Miami Dolphins right there, getting a pass rusher like Bradley Chubb. Got him, Phillips coming into his own on the other side. Very good. Miami's defense has been solid anyway this year. They've been hit by the injury bug a little bit lately. The corners are starting to get healthy. Xavier Howard's still a lockdown corner in this league. So I love what Miami did right there. And as for Denver, their situation this year has just been weird. I'm not sure why they've been so bad on the offensive side. I don't know if it's Nathaniel Hackett. I don't know if it's Russell Wilson. I don't know if it's this, that. I love the first round pick they get back, so I'm going to give them a B for getting the first round pick. As for Chase Edmonds in the deal, I just don't know. Chase Edmonds was good on the Cardinals. He was a very complimentary piece to James Conner last year. On the Dolphins, he's really struggled this year behind Mostert. He's dropped a lot of open passes. He hasn't ran well. He's not breaking tackles. So it's interesting for the Broncos where they're going to use him. They signed Latavius a few weeks ago. He's been playing well. He's really been their best back the last 2 weeks. So now they got 3 backs in there. They don't have a problem with skill on the offensive side. It's a problem with either coaching, play calling, or something else. Courtland Sutton and Judy can get it done with one of those running backs, and Javonte coming back next year. So I think it's a B for Denver right now. First round pick. Hopefully they get a great player, and I hope Denver figures it out because they can be really good, man. I'm disappointing in Denver this year. Disappointed in Denver.
Well, I would like to circle around to my disliking of Raheem Mostert, or the Raheem Mostert / Chase Edmonds era in Dolphins. Currently with Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert, they have combined for negative 103 rushing over expected yards. So each season, NFL Next Gen Stats sets what they believe is how many yards you're expected to rush for. They're rushing for a negative 103. The only person even close to that is Melvin Gordon at negative 57 by himself right now. So you add 2 rushers who have currently been very inefficient according to metric stats. That is truly why I don't like this trade. And that's truly why I will say when we go back to when the Dolphins make another trade later on, this trade is great. Probably one of the best trades they made. So I feel like, Chase Edmonds may have been a little bit of they're maybe taking a little bit of a flyer on him for what they got. I think, just maybe asking if they just put in a 2024 second round pick there. I would have been a lot happier with that than a running back.
I think you got to make the Denver Broncos fans I know everybody's saying, well, picks are good. Like us as people that follow sports deeply know that the picks would be probably better, but you got to go for the common fan too. And Chase Edmonds, not far. Denver's not that far from Arizona, comparatively speaking. So they've seen Chase Edmonds when Denver's not on TV. It's usually Arizona. So I think maybe they can, like you said, put a flyer on him. See if they could actually. He's an expiring contract, I'm guessing. I'm pretty sure.
He's got a year and a half. left
Okay,
on
then
his.
actually this is actually a better trade, I think, because you have with him, you have the experience, you have of being in the playoffs, even though Cardinals didn't do that great last year in the playoffs, but you still have that experience at the running back position. Melvin Gordon's fumbling the ball as fast as I can even watch the game. And like you said, like Murray's a power guy. You have to have the guy that does the going to the sides and all that kind of stuff. Melvin Gordon is definitely not a wide receiver or a receiving running back. So you just gotta mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, I just add one thing before we move on to the next trade. I just hope they convert the offense and use him like he was used in Arizona. I think that's what the problem was in Miami. They're using him in single back formations, running down the middle. That is not Chase Edmonds. He's a shotgun, halfback draw, toss, halfback screen type of back, and he's going to get you yards that way, not right up the middle.
I mean, fair. He's fair. I'm being fair that I do think he was maybe misused, but I also do think, I don't see as much in the, like, if we're looking down a tunnel, I don't see as much as I would see if getting a draft pick. So fair enough. I respect both your picks, but unfortunately I'm going to stick with what I believe. Now we do have another trade. This one is actually my favorite trade. I think Dallas might be in the same. These next two trades are my favorite. It is Calvin Ridley to the Jacksonville Jaguars for a 2023 conditional 5th round pick and a 2024 conditional 2nd round pick. So the 2nd round pick, it has a lot of stipulations. So it becomes a 5th round pick if they just use him and let him go. It becomes a 3rd round pick if they keep him for half a season. And it becomes a 2nd round pick if they re-sign him to a contract. So he does have a year left on his contract, so he'd have to play next year. So I'm giving it an A+ for Jacksonville. I think this is a really good building block for the future. When we've seen Calvin Ridley play in longer seasons outside of last year, he's been a great player. Probably a top 15 wide receiver in his ability to stretch the field. And it gives, Jacksonville a really good opportunity to, get another wide receiver in the building. We've talked about quite extensively their wide receiver room currently. I think, it's something they could build on. Christian Kirk's been solid. Marvin Jones Jr., it's been decent. He's not been fantastic, but add that to a good running game, maybe some offensive line pieces, a full solidified defense next season. I'd be really excited to see Jacksonville. On the Atlanta side, I give Atlanta, I'm giving them some props. I still think they're a really good team. Deontay, big shout out to Atlanta. I give them a B. You cleared out this Calvin Ridley era, which has been a little bit topsy-turvy for them. That you got some draft picks. They're probably not the best for what you could have gotten if you waited another year and got rid of him once he starts playing again. But they're coming back with a clean slate, so I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, for me, I'm right there with you. I think Jacksonville gets an A out of this. Calvin Ridley he's a star wide receiver in this league when he plays. I think people say, "Oh, he just bet on games, man. He got suspended a year for betting on games." That doesn't take away. It's not an injury. It's not anything like that. He's going to come back looking very good. I think Trevor Lawrence adds another weapon. You get him in there. You get Christian Kirk. And I keep saying this, wait till they draft Jackson Smith-Njigba in the top 10 in the NFL draft, and they have Calvin Ridley, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Christian Kirk at wide receiver weapons for Trevor Lawrence, along with Travis Etienne. Jacksonville's offense will be on the come up. The defense is looking solid. I really like what Jacksonville did. And for Atlanta, I also give them a B. I'm interested on why they moved Calvin Ridley, because if Atlanta found, if Ritter maybe plays and you maybe find, or you go out and draft a quarterback in the draft that you think's a franchise guy, and you kept Ridley and you have Ridley, London, and Pitts, I think that's unbelievable. 3 weapons for a rookie quarterback or the quarterback coming in that you need. And now you really only have London and Pitts, not many weapons after that. Cordarrelle's up there in age. He's not many years left of being a very good running back in this league. You can probably convert him back to receiver for a few more years. But I give Falcons a B, especially if that conditional turns into a second round pick. That'll be a B for the Falcons for sure.
Yeah, A+ for Jacksonville. Talk about no risk, high reward for this, especially when it comes to the draft picks. Because like you said, it wasn't like a steroid thing. It wasn't injuries. It was betting. It was a Pete Rose of football situation. Ridley, especially with Doug Peterson as their offensive coach, with Kirk, with Ingram. We forget about Ingram as at tight end. All of a sudden he's starting to do well with, wow, we have an offensive coach. He can actually do something rather than being in New York. So A+ to Jacksonville, especially when you see the AFC South and Colts look like a dumpster fire. Houston, dumpster fire. Tennessee, Derrick Henry, then dumpster fire. So you gotta they got a lot of wiggle room, especially in the next 2 years. That would be Ridley's contract. So for the Atlanta Falcons, it's really funny because I think they're trying to tank, but they're failing at tanking so badly.
The first in the division.
The first one in the division. When you have the Falcons as well, the Saints are, after that Saints game, I think the Saints will definitely win the NFC South. But actually, NFC South, it would be them and the Buccaneers. But I think they saw that too. I think they saw that performance by New Orleans too, and kind of was like, okay, then we may not have a chance here. So especially like you said, 2 of the 3 wildcard spots are going to go to NFC East team. So yeah, they're not going to get, maybe they can package some 5th round picks to get into the 4th round, because it is a very deep wide receiver draft next year, very deep running back draft next year. So they could possibly do that. And like you said, it's like most of these running backs are undrafted for Pete's sake. So is Patterson supposed to come back this year or no?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He was designated to practice from the IR this week. So
Oh, good. So with him, they probably figure, well, there's our 3rd weapon right there that we just got rid of Ridley that wasn't going to be on the team anyway. And then we're getting Patterson back. So we're actually gaining something, well, in their mind, they're gaining a lot more than just the picks they got back. So I think it's a B+ for both teams. I'm sorry, B+ for the Falcons, A+ for the Jaguars.
Feels fair. All right, we have another Miami trade. This is actually my favorite trade next to the Calvin Ridley one. I give an A+ to the Miami Dolphins. I know I said I was going to be strict about the A+, but you give Mike McDaniels what Mike McDaniels worked with all last season. I think that is exactly what you want here. Jeff Wilson Jr., who currently ranks in NFL Next Gen stats in those rush over expected yards. Remember I talked about those? Those things are important. They're important, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff Wilson is absolutely on a tear this season in that category. I believe he is at 109. So he, yes, 119. He would make up for Raheem Mostert and Chase Edmonds in rush over expected yards completely. So great running back, allows you to use a lot of 2 running back system now, a lot of out of the shotgun stuff, a lot of out of shotgun run, a lot of out of shotgun passing. Great pickup. A+ for Miami. San Francisco, I get that what they wanted to move on from him. 5th round pick, that's unfortunately the going rate as we've seen for running backs. So I give San Francisco a C+. It's good, but it's not amazing.
I think this was also one of my favorite trades. I give it Miami an A+ as well, because I'm pretty sure Mostert. I always want to say Mostert, but Mostert and Wilson Jr. were on that 49ers team last year. I'm pretty sure. So
No, Mostert was gone last season.
or
He
year before then.
left 2 years before, or the year before.
Okay, so but they still come through the Shanahan system. They're used to that kind of system. Wilson can be a power runner as well as a screen type of runner. I think it's a great pickup for them. And plus, I think I would say without you got pretty good defenses in that division, but I think just with a brand new start, especially I don't know if I would take 2 over Garoppolo right now, but you still remember you have Tyreek Hill and Waddle. So I don't care what you say about the 49ers wide receivers. They are not as good as that duo in Miami. So it just gives them another option for them in the offense. And they're trying to stay as deep as possible. So because there will be injuries along the way, especially when we get into December and when Miami has to go up to Buffalo, or when Miami has to go up to the Patriots. I'm not sure if they have to, but everybody else is in the cold Northeast. So you're gonna need extra running backs. And Tua's Alabama, man. They never played in the snow. So you got to have the running game especially in the AFC East. So I would give an A to Miami. I would give, because Elijah Mitchell's coming back pretty soon. You're gonna have Elijah Mitchell and CMC. So and right there's your run up the middle, and then Christian McCaffrey can literally even throw for a touchdown, as we saw. So I think they got their 2 weapons. I think it's a win-win for both sides. I give them an A- in this too, because there really was nowhere to put them other than maybe special teams. I don't know, but I don't think special teams needs that much work. So
Yeah, for me, Dolphins, obviously, I'm right there with you, A-. I have an A- for Miami. And then for the San Francisco side, I have a B. Like you said, Elijah Mitchell should be back in I think 2 weeks time. So you're going to have a CMC, Elijah Mitchell, and then you got Tyrion Davis-Price and Jordan Mason, 2 rookies down there. So they got depth in the backfield. They didn't really need Jeff Wilson anymore. I would have been intrigued to see if they could have moved Elijah Mitchell to get a third or something higher on the draft capital side, but I doubt if they would have. I doubt if anybody would trade that. So 5th round pick for Jeff Wilson, not bad. So it's a B.
All right, sounds good. So we have our last trade. This was the last big trade. I only include this one because we live in Indianapolis. We had Nyheim Hines to the Buffalo Bills for Zach Moss and a 2023 conditional 5th round pick. Let me start off with the Colts got fleeced, ladies and gentlemen. A big fat F is what I am giving. F minus for the Indianapolis Colts, because you are now without Jonathan Taylor this week, and we've traded our backup running back. So congrats. You gave the Bills another piece that they can just run with, and we got a running back in return that's not even going to be a 3rd-string running back. So Buffalo
he's going to be our backup this week. Zach Moss will slide in as our backup this week. He's going to get some.
Buffalo gets a B+. Colts get an F-. Colts do better.
I'm right there with you. B+, F. It's that simple. No need to grade the trade. Nyheim Hines. We'll see how Buffalo uses him.
Let's go, Lindsey. Come on, Lindsey.
We'll see. We'll see if they move him up to the practice squad to be number 2 this week, since Zach Moss just got traded.
He's active.
So we'll see. Since Zach Moss is his first week on their system, I assume Philip Lindsay will take up backup duties to Deion Jackson. I expect the Colts running backs to do little this week against the Patriots. Very little.
Matthew, where you have this trade graded at?
I think it's like you said, F minus. F for fire, as in burn the place to the ground. You have Buffalo. Singletary has done very well this year, a lot better than the last few years, and Nyheim Hines gives them a speed rusher off the edges. So it gives them, all of a sudden now you can do very good option. You can add option runs into that offense with Josh Allen, Nyheim Hines. It's like just a whole chest of riches for Buffalo. I think they saw which came first, the Wilson to
Wilson went before.
Yeah,
Hines was like the second to last, like the third to last.
That's why they did it. I think that's exactly why they did it. I think that's why the Bills traded for Nyheim Hines, was because of that Miami trade, because they saw, oh, you can do that, yeah, so can we. So just to have an extra cushion, even though they probably don't need it.
Yeah. So what'd you get, Buffalo? B plus?
A. I give them an A. For what was left on the market, an A. You didn't have pretty much anybody else there. Right now, Buffalo is lining up to play the Kansas City Chiefs. Right now, that is the line right now for Buffalo, and they're preparing everything for that game. So yeah.
All right, sounds good. So we're not done with football. We're just skipping on to the amateur version of this. We're going to go through the midseason college football roundup.
Oh, God,
this is just me taking shots at who's playing in the championship game at this point. I just thought it'd be fun. And then we'll go over some Heisman favorites, and we'll close out with the World Series. That's very big right now. So first off, I'm going to go out of order here. I'm going to start with the Pac-12. I think the Pac-12 is interesting. Matthew, I know you're the Pac-12 resident here.
Of course, I'm not wearing my USC shirt. I have that.
Open on up with who you think is going to be the Pac-12 championship game.
Oregon's definitely in there. Oregon controls their own destiny right now. I really hoping USC gets in there. It comes down to that. Does that make that USC UCLA game fun? But for the first time in like a decade. But hey, it may be a USC home. I'm not sure if we actually even play them at home, but it'll be a USC home game either way. Seeing all those no UCLA fans ever in attendance, so just pack the house with USC people. Utah, because Utah has the win over us on that last 2-point conversion, which kills me because we had them. So it comes down. Oregon's definitely in there. Right now, I would go with USC. I'm not sure if you're picking winners, but I don't think USC's not ready yet. I hate to say that about my USC Trojans. Their defense isn't ready yet to beat Oregon.
So do you have Oregon versus USC, but Oregon wins?
Yeah, that's what I sadly have. Yes.
Okay.
Trust me, I'll be happy if I'm wrong. I'll be ecstatic if I'm wrong. But
I wasn't really picking winners and losers, to be honest.
Okay.
I was just thinking who you guys think's going to be there, because we're getting very close. Very, very close to that. So, Dallas, who you got?
Oregon, USC for me as well. I just don't see either losing the rest of the way out until the Pac-12 championship game.
And guys, we're gonna make this really boring. I'm going Oregon, USC. I don't watch enough Pac-12 I want to be like, oh my gosh, them Utah Utes are gonna be scary. But
Oregon
like, they
State,
already
baby. No, okay. Oregon
they've
State
lost a
got
game.
ranked.
They've lost a game already. So like, it's just tough. The team that wins more games is just gonna be in there, unfortunately. And then we're on We're going to go on to the next division since this one was quick. The Big 12 championship. Who'd like to start out the Big 12?
I'll start it off because I think they're like the Pac-12 and don't get enough respect. Now, Oklahoma State gives me a very big pause because of the loss of their quarterback, because he was getting ready for the NFL draft. So, but they played great. Now Oklahoma's playing great, but right now the most consistent team right now is Texas and TCU. So those are the two teams I have in the championship game.
For me, it's a big win for Kansas State last week, absolutely demolishing Oklahoma State. That was a crazy game, very unexpected. So I will go K-State and TCU. If you told me at the beginning of the season these two teams were going to be in the Big 12 championship game, I said no way. But that is my pick, TCU, K-State.
I'm on the same train as Dallas, but big up my boy Deuce Vaughn, 5'6" Kings unite. I mean, dude's literally a monster, literally the best running back. Honestly, if I'm drafting and my choices at running back are Deuce Vaughn and anybody else, I'm taking Deuce Vaughn if I'm an NFL GM. You can at me on that one. He's a beast. He's going to be a beast in the NFL too. All right, on to the ACC. Dallas, this one's your division. Open us up with who's going to be in it.
Yeah, let me look at this real quick here.
I always have to figure Notre Dame is still independent football. So
yeah, so on the ACC side, I'm looking at ESPN right now, and they have the Atlantic Division and the Coastal Division. I'm pretty sure that's how the ACC works.
Yes.
Don't add me on to college football. And there's really only one option, I'd say, and that's Clemson versus North Carolina. And that's going to be the ACC title game.
Yep, I have the exact same actually. That there's not really every other team's like Syracuse is like the only team that could like somehow make it, but
they have to have a lot of help from Clemson.
Yeah,
Clemson's
they lost head-to-head versus Clemson, so that's kind of unfortunately out. Matthew, who do you have?
Same thing as you. I'm pretty sure Wake Forest is in Clemson, or is it in Clemson side? Or
yeah, they are.
Yeah, so that's why I wouldn't pick Wake Forest to play him because he can't. But
they're
Clemson
2-2 as well, so that's kind of a problem in divisional play.
Their offense is like tremendous as how terrible their defense is. But yeah, Clemson, North Carolina, and I think I know I'm not should say winners, but I think Clemson loses.
I mean, take it for what you think it is. I'm not making any decisions. On to the good old home of Indiana conference here. We got the Big Ten. Who is going to be in the Big Ten championship? I think this one's a toss-up.
Give me Ohio State. Give me Ohio State. I think they beat Michigan. They get to the Big Ten title game. And on the other side, there's no option. It's surprisingly the Fighting Illini of Illinois that's going to be in the Big Ten.
Shout out Brendan Wheat.
Shout out Brendan. Illinois is going to be in the Big Ten championship game against Ohio State.
See, I think it's going to come down to that Ohio State-Michigan game. So Illinois is obviously in it. I think who's home, Ohio State or Michigan in that game?
Give me 1 second. I'm clicking on Michigan. They are at Ohio State, so they are in Columbus.
Man, I would love to see Michigan beat Ohio State. I'm going with Michigan. Screw it. I hate Ohio State too much.
God. So I wrote down Michigan a second ago thinking about it, but I'm changing my decision. God, I just think Ohio State's defense is so good. Whoever that, I can't say his name correctly, so I'm not going to say it, but that Hawaiian or Samoan guy.
Hawaiian/Samoan guy, that's all right.
Dude was a beast this last week. He had like 2 picks, 4 sacks, just amazing game. 10 out of 10. I think he's a beast. And with that old Oklahoma State defensive coordinator in, Dallas and I know about that cowboy package. Dallas, don't want you know about the cowboy package. So I think it's going to be interesting, but I see Ohio State going in and probably absolutely mollywhopping Illinois, as we saw last year. Just think the West has struggled to keep up. So, and then on to the greatest division in college football, the SEC. I feel like the SEC is not fairly clear cut either. I think the East gives a lot of problems, and maybe even the West if you're optimistic.
Man, I think it's actually, ironically, I think it's easier to predict the East, even though it's 1 versus 3 this week. Everybody's saying Georgia, according to ESPN. A lot of people are saying Georgia. That's right. I'm calling Tennessee by 10 in Georgia tomorrow. Tennessee beats them by 10.
Is that your hot take for this week?
Yes, that is my hot take for this week.
1
Hey,
second.
I was 1-0. I was 1-0 last week. I had Notre Dame beat Syracuse.
Technicalities, yes, you're 1-0. Technicality.
I'll take technicality. I don't care. It's 1-0 is 1-0.
Technically,
So
your
it's a
parlay has not
tie.
completely cashed out yet. So that was the problem. I hadn't written down anything because the parlay is not cashed. That the Astros had won the World Series by the time
Oh no,
we had another show.
no worries. I was happy to lose that one, but now I'm not so happy because now the Astros are winning. But
All right. So you have Tennessee versus.
Tennessee versus, I got to go with Alabama because it's Nick Saban. I think it's this week's game. It's this week's game, Alabama and LSU. Winner of that game goes to the SEC championship. I don't believe in Ole Miss whatsoever. Arkansas. No, I'm kidding. I wish Arkansas was good.
Dallas, who we got here?
It's obviously Alabama. I really don't think LSU has a shot this week. I mean, they could go out and shock everybody, but I think Alabama's too good. So I think it's Alabama, and I am in agreement that Tennessee is the best team in the country, and Tennessee will go to the SEC title game. And I am praying and hoping Tennessee can beat Bama twice.
I think the problem is if Tennessee loses, then you have that whole situation with them being beating each other twice. There's 2 SEC teams in the CFP. So
I hate the fact that you all are picking Tennessee. This is just disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I can't even.
I
look
like
at
their
that color.
dog, man. Their dog's cool.
That's their mascot. Their mascot's stupid. Their fans are stupid. Their stadium is stupid.
Wow.
Everything is stupid. They're only here because they made money. They got $200 million in NIL money. Let's be honest.
So is USC, and I'm not complaining.
All right, I'm going against the cut here. I'm going Georgia. I think Georgia is going to rain on Tennessee's parade, and I believe it is going to be a very close game, but I see Georgia winning by a field goal. It's not my hot take for this week because I really hate that game, and I just hope it happens. So
Yeah. How was your hot take last week again? I'm sorry. I can't remember.
We don't pick winners here ever. Dallas knows that. I went 0-2 to open the season and have not hit since. So, It happens. And you know what? Just for the culture, I hate Alabama too. So LSU beats Alabama this week. That might actually be my hot take. I think Bryce Young is going to be humbled in a
It's hard to go into Tiger Stadium, man. It's a hard place to play.
But
And
off
Brian
that,
Kelly's accent.
who's ready for the Heisman favorites? And who are we picking for our Heisman favorites here? I think you have to pick one guy. I had to limit it to one guy because we could have a 15-man list here. One guy. Who's your Heisman favorite? Whoever'd like to go can go first.
Hurts. I can't believe I'm saying this. Hurts is the only reason that game versus Tennessee was close. That was the only reason. He was the only reason that
You
game
mean
was
Young?
close. Sorry, Bryce Young. Sorry. What did I say?
Hurts.
Oh, I'm thinking.
Let's
Oh,
say
sorry. I'm
Jalen
thinking.
Hurts is out of
I
college.
was like,
Been
that's
out of
the
college
other.
for a while.
They play a lot alike. But yeah, Bryce Young, modern day alum, Orange County alum, going with my OC roots, Bryce Young. Hate to say it too, but I they're not giving Caleb Williams enough credit either. Because it's out west. It's East Coast bias. It's still there, man.
Dallas, who you got?
This is a tough one, man. Heisman, I think it's going to be really close. I think it's going to come down to two guys. Those two guys being Hendon Hooker and C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud's been the favorite all year, and I'll stick with C.J. Stroud, man, for now. That's what I'll stick with. I think.
I'm
I think
rocking with.
I think
Rocking with you, Dallas.
I think if he beats Michigan, which I think they will, that solidifies the Heisman right there for him.
It's gonna be a fantastic.
I'm sticking with you,
week if
Dallas.
Michigan wins. For me,
I can't stand that ugly orange color. So we're just gonna say it how it is. I'm going with CJ Stroud. Even though I can't stand I really can't stand any other teams, but so at least CJ Stroud, he's pretty good.
one team used to have Peyton Manning. That's all I say.
Yeah, one team had Peyton Manning, but Hendon Hooker is not Peyton Manning by any close regards. All righty, on to the World Series. It has been a hotly contested World Series. I believe it is we're on game 5 this week. Game 5, right?
6.
It's game 6. Astros up 3-2.
3-2. I didn't upgrade it from this week. So 3-2. We haven't had anyone. I want to recap. Matthew, you're currently out of the running for guessing the correct World Series. You had Astros in 5. So did Deontay. Sorry, guys. We had to ruin your day.
I absolutely hate this, but my prediction's going to be right, and I hate it.
No,
I want the Phillies to win, and Astros are going to win this thing.
If that stupid rain delay didn't happen, I could have possibly made the other one bet.
Me and Rishi are fighting strong with the Phillies. I know Rishi's here in my heart, not in person on the Zoom with us today, but me and Rishi, we're still pulling for Philly. There's really nothing to say about it other than the fact that I think the Phillies are going to play all out. And I like Zach Wheeler maybe a little bit better than I like a Framber Valdez game tonight. I think Framber might get shaken up tonight. He's looking at their stats. I mean, they're basically in the same category. I will say though, Framber.
They're Saturday.
Saturday. I know. I'm off a day. Framber Valdez does have a 41.6% hard hit ball percentage. So that means almost 50% of his pitches are hit hard, which with the Phillies, and when they hit a ball hard, it's probably in the third row. And I don't think Houston's been completely Houston. I think there's still ability to win in Houston, and I think hopefully Wheeler, has a better game than his first game. So it's my only hope.
Who do you think what would be your MVP predictions?
Oh, that's tough. I'm really in on Kyle Schwarber being my MVP. I think he's been probably the best player out of both teams consistently.
Either way? Because that's very rare.
Defensively, he's been pretty good.
Jeremy Pena.
I mean, if I'm looking at an Astro, I might be going like, is Tucker the one that has hit 2 homers?
It's Jeremy Pena. He's got a hit every single game. Just hit a bomb last night. First rookie shortstop ever to hit a home run in the World Series. So it's going to be, if the Astros win, it's going to be Jeremy Pena.
I'm thinking Schwarber rallies tonight, gets like 2 homers, and we see why the Phillies are legit.
Homered every single game. Of course he's breaking in.
But that's my point.
Bryce Harper. I'm sorry, it runs on Bryce Harper. That whole entire team. I don't care. Schwarber, Castellanos, anyone in that lineup, it runs around Bryce Harper. How many extra you're the numbers guy. How many extra base hits has he had?
I don't know. See, that's the problem. I don't look at like counting stats like that. I'm literally looking at hard hit percentage, xWOBA, expected batting average. Bryce Harper's expected batting average is like the highest on the Phillies, next to Alec Boehm at 288.
Who would have thought Alec Boehm? Who would have thought Alec Boehm at this time of year?
Alec Boehm's a beast. I think interestingly, I think Bryce Harper will probably end up winning it just because the fact that he's, rallied and he's been so with this team so long. But what you said about defensive metrics, I mean, Kyle Schwarber hasn't been poor in defensive metrics. He's been about league average. I will say it's a little concerning at Bryce Harper's chase rate, which is the amount of pitches he chases out of the zone. Bryce Harper's currently chasing 40% of the pitches out of the zone, while Kyle Schwarber stayed dedicated to his 18%.
Well, who leads off, dude? Who gets more fastballs? Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, it really doesn't matter. He's been very disciplined. He's worked walks. I mean, I like Kyle Schwarber personally. That's just where I see this going. I think Kyle Schwarber was hated on at the beginning of this year because they were building an outfield that was supposed to be like the most they had like the most defensive runs not saved. It was just supposed to be a mess. But they've been really good. So I think the Phillies rally tonight.
I really hope so too, because I'm rooting for my boys Marsh and Syndergaard. Even though Syndergaard had a very bad night last night, but I didn't get that matchup anyway. He got hammered against the Astros twice this year as an Angel. So I didn't get that start, but oh well. Now it's both at Angel Stadium. That wasn't Philadelphia.
So we are going to recap last week's hot takes. So Matthew, you did have Notre Dame will beat Syracuse on the road. That did happen. Tennessee wins by the spread or more. And we're still I don't know if we're going to go 1-0 or we're going to go considerably 0-0 and see. I don't know how deep of a parlay it was, but I will give it to you at the 1-0. If the Astros do tie it up, I might move it to 1-1 just because that game might have missed. We're foregoing that moment. Dallas had the Astros throwing a no-hitter in game 2. I really want to give
close.
Can I get at least half a credit, dude?
I'll give you a point.
Calling a no-hitter in World Series is bold enough, and it happened, and it was only the second ever. And I know it was game. Oh my gosh!
You got a point. You get a 0.5. I can't give much more than that. I had the possibly atrocious parlay. The Packers got pretty close though to beating the Bills. Just kidding. They barely made the Bills didn't cover. So that was great. Kentucky did not beat Tennessee. Unfortunately, the Phillies are still not going to win in 6 games. And the Packers were beat by the Bills by 7 points. I think it was a touchdown. I said going the wrong way. So I am now down to 2-6. Deontay got his first win with the Browns beating the Bengals on Monday Night Football. And Rishi has continued his dry streak of hot takes. And he goes to win the Bermuda Butter Championship was not Richie. And then he tried to take Arizona over USC on a live bet. Honestly, might knock him down to 0-6 for trying to take that. Rishi is currently
closer. It was a lot closer than it was 20. What was it? It was only a 10-point or 7-point victory for USC. So
I don't know. He added on to it though, so I'm going to knock him down to 0-6. So hot takes for this week. Matthew's got one. Do you want to add anything on to that?
Well, I have my hot take. Tennessee beats Georgia by 10 plus points.
All right. Dallas, what you got here?
I do love Bulldogs, though. Bulldogs are so cute. So nothing against Georgia's Bulldog.
So we were talking, and I just went deep dive into college football this week.
Oh, God.
And I found a little matchup that I like, and it's Air Force versus Army. 2 teams that run the heck out of the ball. They run the ball. They run the ball. They run the ball. And guess what?
Read option football.
Can we do the time on that?
My hot take is over 200 passing yards in this game. There will be over 200 passing yards in this game.
My
That is
former
my hot
teammate
take.
played for Army, so I gotta.
That is my hot take. They will have to pass at some stage in the game. Over 200 passing yards total in this game.
Oh, good old Service Academy football, Dallas. Good old Service Academy football. All right, now I guess I get to close this one out. Where do I start? Goodness gracious, I don't like any of these games, but I'm gonna.
Come on, you said LSU, man. You said
I already got
LSU.
LSU, but I got to parlay it. I'm the parlay lord. That's how I've made all these hot takes hit. I add random games on as I'm looking through it. I'll go with the sleeper. I'm gonna go UCLA takes an L to Arizona State somehow. Don't know how that happens, but UCLA, I feel like they've been frauds all season.
Arizona State,
Arizona
doesn't
State,
know
baby.
how.
So let's rock with it. I feel like that's a lock. I've got that thing locked in.
My mentor would be very proud of you because he's the voice of Arizona State men's basketball.
I can't stand Arizona State in any sport other than football, and they're not really that good in anything. But it's been a great show, gentlemen. So glad to have you, and we'll be back with you next week. I don't know exactly what's on the docket for next week. It might be some NFL midseason, maybe some MVP talk. You know, we're getting down to the line on that stuff, so we'll get around to it soon.
Let's go YL. CIF tonight, baby. 10-0 versus 10-0. Come on, Yorba Linda. Good night.
All right, have a nice night, you all.